get into our summer preview.
Yes.
Summer preview. And first up, we're going to continue the gaming
Yes, it
shit.
is.
The gaming shit. And you know what, Tone? I am so glad that next week, or we have the PlayStation show, State of Play tomorrow. We have Summer Game Fest all next week. We have the Xbox Showcase. You know why I'm excited, Tone?
Why?
Because we don't have shit coming out
No.
other than Call of Duty and Assassin's Creed and Star Wars Outlaws. We don't know shit
About shit.
that's coming out this year.
No, and it's frustrating. It's such a layered thing for me right now because I feel like the last year my gaming has dwindled to little to none right now, and it's partly my own fault as well too.
Not even your fault. It's just life.
It's just just right now it's just not optimal for me.
Yeah.
But that being said, I did play Final Fantasy for about a half hour the other day. But
Whoa!
I still love this time of
So
year.
you got one conversation.
Right. No, it's like three
One
battles.
conversation with an NPC.
Right.
Half hour.
But I love this time of year because this is when that's one of the things I do miss about working in that environment is getting excited about these events a little bit more differently. I forgot that fucking Summerfest is coming up or Game Fest is coming up next week. So now that we're talking about it now, I'm really excited about it because even if there's not a lot of things I want, there's always a few things that really get me excited.
At least we're getting stuff.
We're getting some stuff. Yeah. So it's an exciting time as always every year when you're able to get into this time. So let's go.
But hey, Tone, so I mean, we've looked at some of the games that we know coming out this summer.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, we've each kind of gone through that list and picked out the ones that we wanted. Ooh, excuse me. Oh my God,
you
I know, right?
monster.
So I'm not going to go with the obvious. Obviously, my obvious choice is College Football 25. That comes out on July 19th, which I just found out. I actually have the week after that off. That is that's
really convenient.
that's purely coincidence.
Oh, wow.
It's purely coincidence.
Right around somebody's birthday. Weird.
Yeah, it is my birthday that Monday after. Yeah,
we know.
Anywho,
We know.
College Football 25 is I'm really excited for it. They actually had a huge info dump today that came out where they talked about a lot more shit, the intricacies of the online dynasty, the things that you can do, the things that you can't do.
Briefly, are you liking what you're seeing?
I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited. The NIL was the part that I was worried about the most because that's where you're working with like more contracts, money like that. My understanding is that is a part of Road to Glory, which is a single player stuff. It will not be in the online dynasty, which I think is fine. I don't want to sit there and try to like spend more money and try to go. Recruiting is fine. Working the portal is fine. But the NIL stuff, like in online dynasty, I don't think the NIL is fleshed out enough in real life to get it to work properly in a fucking game.
That's the XFL, right?
Yeah, there you go. Totally. So it's like, you know, but the college football is my most anticipated game so far this year. I mean, the one that I know about the most because it's just, dude, it's been 10 fucking years. 10 years since we got one. And, you know, the press actually got access. They played the game last week for a couple hours, and all of them have said the two things that I wanted to hear most. One, this is made by college fans for college fans. And two, it plays absolutely nothing like fucking Madden. That is awesome because I've been playing Madden occasionally and I'm just like, I don't know what this game is anymore.
No, yeah, it's a mess.
I don't know what Madden is anymore.
They haven't known what that is since 2010.
It's been a minute.
It's been every year. It's listening to a certain part of that fan because I have a friend.
A very small
Forge Hammer
portion
is a
of it.
huge Madden player and he tries to play online all the time. They listen to like a small portion and the next time they listen to the other small portion. They listen like they just keep effing the game up.
Yeah.
You know, anyways.
But yeah, so like a lot of them said it's faster, it's more fun, the playbooks, there's more strategy, it's just a better feeling game, and I'm just like, thank you.
Cool.
Because for the longest time when college football came out, when those games was out, it was basically the last year's Madden reskinned for college, and then Madden got all the new features. So you were basically playing last year's Madden in a college game. My understanding is that based on the previews and the hands-on, this is a fucking huge step. One guy says it's the best football game he's ever played.
Okay. Well,
Hype.
989 Games Studios has a thing to say about that.
You know, 2K,
Game Day.
2K Sports, NFL 2K.
2K5.
One of the greatest football games I've ever played in my entire life.
I started with the game days. Well, I started.
I do remember 99 Sports, man. NFL Game Day.
Yeah. Yeah.
When PlayStation was that PlayStation 1?
PlayStation 1, bro.
Yeah, dude. That shit was dope. But NFL 2K was totally where it was at. And then EA was like, well, we're going to buy everything up and you can go fuck yourself. And it was just like, dude.
Right.
Just why you got to be a punk bitch?
Yeah.
All right, Tone. So, like, we each went through the list of the very small list. This list will probably change after next week. But, I mean, that'll be more so for the fall. But for the summer, there's just not a whole lot of choices, but there are still some good games here that kind of like pique our interest. I'm going to go first. The game that really stands out to me the most over the next couple months, other than college football, is still Wakes the Deep. This comes out on June 18th on PlayStation 5, PC, and Xbox Series X. This comes from the Chinese Room. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they make games like Dear Escher and Everybody's Gone to the Rapture.
People joke that these are the walking simulators.
They're walking simulators, but they are incredibly powerful, story-driven games. I mean, I remember playing Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. There was a couple sequences where you learn about what's happening through the environment, through audio tapes and recordings and memories and shit like that. And Everybody's Gone to the Rapture was a tear-jerking game. It was one of those games mixed with a killer soundtrack that was very effective in those scenes. I was just like in tears multiple. I was like, man, this is heavy. But now they're kind of like pivoting into horror a little bit with this game. The trailer was very cool. You're kind of stuck on this oil rig, but it takes place during Christmas in 1975 on an oil rig off the coast of Scotland. Like the studio's previous games, there is no combat, but that doesn't mean the experience lacks action, as you're tasked with traversing the rickety rig at the mercy of the elements and something altogether more supernaturally terrifying.
Well, I mean, the name kind of alludes to potentially.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Some good stuff.
The trailer looks really good. And I don't know if you've played games like Soma or Observer. These are games that, like, not a whole lot of combat, but they're just very immersive, story-driven, very kind of like just atmospheric games that are really well done. And the Chinese Room is incredibly talented when it comes to story-driven games. And if you watch this trailer again, it looks so good. You're on an oil rig. There's a supernatural entity like stalking you. Yet you're still getting the story about what happened on this rig. It looks incredibly cool, incredibly awesome. And you know what, Jay Hill? It's the one game that has me thinking maybe I should bring back the story stream. Just for a game, the story stream, where I jump into a game, I don't engage with the chat very much, and I just play through a game. Because that's the thing, man. Like, I can play multiplayer shit all day long with you guys and fuck around and do all that stuff, and I can chat with the chat. But that's the reason I play single-player stuff solo without streaming, because I want to be focused on it.
Be immersed, yep.
So when I do, hey, Jeff, thanks for hanging out, brother. I appreciate it, even though your opinion on Blade 3 is absolute trash. You are an awesome human being, and we love you and appreciate your support. Thank you so much for that gifted sub, man. Have a great weekend. But going back to it, like, I'm just excited about this because it's just, I love the Chinese Room. I think their games are really effective, and I cannot wait for this game coming out next month. Says the Nick Cage. Oh my God.
Oh, I will.
Jeff,
shut the stream. We're driving. We're heading south right now.
Go to bed, Jeff. Clearly you're tired and you're not thinking straight.
You're not thinking
Go
straight.
to bed. You're clearly lacking sleep.
How dare you attack a true thespian?
I'm. You know what? Matter of fact, I'm going to forget this happened because you're a good friend and we appreciate you. But this never happened because if I replayed this segment for you tomorrow, you'd be like, I'm so embarrassed with my comments and the things that I have said last night. Yeah. I was clearly tired and not thinking straight. We love you too, buddy. Have a good night. But that's what I'm excited for. June 18th. Might bring back the story stream for that because it's just a game that I really want to get immersed in. Tone?
Yeah.
You
Yes.
are really not looking forward to anything this summer other than one game.
There is one game that's got, a game that I believe was originally only released in Japan, maybe on the Switch, I want to say.
I believe you're correct.
But Shimigami Tensei 5, Shimigami games are some of the best modern turn-based old school JRPG style.
Are they similar to
games.
Persona?
Yeah,
Okay.
That's pretty. Yeah, it's similar to that vein of like kind of RPG.
Sure.
There's been some great entries in this series. They're always. I mean, I think Persona 5 really brought them from a niche crowd and like expanded on that, which is fantastic. But they're great. They're great stories. They're great characters. There's always a new battle mechanic of some sort or something that either is familiar or just done well. They do things very unique and they live inside their own box.
Sure.
And it's always very hi-fi fantasy in some form of demonic way, which is really fun. So, again, this one is explores both the humdrum and the the fantastical elements of its school age protagonists' lives, which is very huge in anime and Japanese culture.
I feel like that's always a thing.
It's always
whether it's
14
Persona or what was the one that you played?
Yep.
What's the one that you've been playing? Steel, Cold Steel, or
Trails of Cold
Trails
Steel.
of Cold
Yep,
Steel,
yep.
yep.
So that's just their culture. It's always like just past that preview.
That's basically just JRPGs in general, right? Like you're just day-to-day life.
Yeah, for sure. But it gets more unsettling, darker, tasking you with recruiting demons and gods to fight on your side, which is, again, a lot of these games kind of do that as well, too, in a twisted, post-apocalyptic version of our world. That, to me, alone sounds awesome. So it looks great. I just don't know if I'll get to it right away. It's another one that's going to be sitting on the list. But
how do you think this? What system would you get this on? I feel like this is a Switch game through and through.
I play most of my RPGs like this on the PlayStation. Just it comes down to the controller comfortability.
Yeah.
Now I could play it on the Switch, but my Pro controller is similar to an Xbox controller.
Yeah,
which I like more for shooting games. But there are some games I like on the go for the Switch, and I love playing mobile, and there's RPGs as well too. But this just exudes to me like being on the big screen, being in a PlayStation side of it for me. So, but regardless, I'm excited. I hope it does well. Like I said, folks love these series. So
now, Tone, we're going to go to our third and final game. Like I said, this is a very light. You know what? For the last couple of years, the whole summer lull thing hasn't really been accurate. For the last couple of years, typically summer has housed some of the biggest releases.
Yeah.
But for whatever reason right now, we're just kind of like at this shortage of games and these publishers.
Year kind of it.
The whole year itself, you've got studios closing up, people getting laid off. That's obviously got to have an impact on the production of games and the output and how quickly they can be released. But I feel like right now, other than these games that we're talking about, Tone, up until this final game that we're going to discuss, we don't know shit about this fall or winter coming up, other than Call of Duty and Assassin's Creed Shadows, which are typical yearly big tentpole titles that come out that time of year anyways.
Well, thanks to the Summer Game Fest, we will hopefully after next week.
I hope to God we have a clearer picture of not just the fall, but what's going on. No Diddy, Hollywood laying low.
Yeah, so Drake, too, he's hiding in a bunker somewhere.
Oh, man. Is he still recovering? I heard
care.
Man, Kendrick Lamar just had fun.
Yep.
But, Tone, the last game we want to talk about is one that I think we're a little bit indifferent on. We're
definitely indifferent.
We're not quite on the same page here with Star Wars Outlaws. Now, you could classify this as a possible fall title. It does come out at the end of August, but August is summer, and we're talking summer gaming preview. August 27th, to be exact, on PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X. Star Wars Outlaws. The reason I'm excited about it, Tone, is one, I'm not a fucking Jedi. And two, we're leaning into some stealth elements, which Ubisoft is very good at with their games. They understand stealth and the fact that we're kind of going into the gritty nature of like Andor or Star Wars, a Rebel? Rogue One. We're kind of leaning into those types of tropes and that type of storytelling. I find that super appealing. If we can get a Tom Clancy-esque Star Wars game, okay, now you have me. Where I don't have to wield a lightsaber. I can be more stealthy behind the scenes, sneak in, sneak out. You had me a hello.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So I am really excited about this. I think this looks really good. We saw like an 8-minute gameplay video a couple of months ago. I thought it looked really good. Either you can go in fully stealthy or you can go in guns blazing. I also like it because it's a little bit different than the Jedi games that we've been playing recently, which are really, really good games. But those you're playing as a Jedi with Jedi abilities. Now we're kind of getting into the nitty-gritty nature of things, kind of like what we saw with Andor in terms of the story. It's the first time we got in a game that's kind of like this, because I feel like most of the games have either been like first-person shooters like Star Wars Battlefront, or Jedi, or what was the one on PS3? The two games where The Force Unleashed. Those were all Jedi and stuff. Now we're kind of like leaning into the Andor type of stuff, and that to me, piques my interest. Plus, it's story driven, now co-op, no online multiplayer, story driven shit. I can get down. I have no issue with Battlefront. I have no issue with the multiplayer games. I have no issue with Jedi. I just like the fact that I'm getting something that's not relying on Jedis and not relying on first-person shooters. I'm getting a third-person, stealth-based Star Wars game that's kind of dealing with the nitty-gritty nature side of the Rebel Force. I can get down with that. And I feel like and honestly, I feel like it's a game that we haven't gotten yet. It's something unique and something different. But Tone, I know you're indifferent because not so much the game or the name of it, but the publisher behind it. Tone, your thoughts on Star Wars Outlaws and why you're not on the same page as I am.
Look, a lot of the things you say are the same reasons that I want the same kind of things in certain Star Wars movies and TV as well, too. So I certainly want them in games. Now, I think this is going to be a little bit more like Solo, a little bit less like Andor and Rogue One.
Okay.
Because, you're seeing a more...
that's right. She's more of a scoundrel.
She's more of a scoundrel. She's more like a Han Solo in that sense, I suppose. But
how is that
a
not a win?
Bit more underworld. I mean, it would be, but unfortunately, we got to go through Ubisoft, their paywalls, their added on DLC. You can't do this unless you do this. Like, so I just, again, like, listen, as somebody who loved Ubisoft at one time and has watched them go from creating good, stories and good gameplay and good this and the other to creating subpar product, it just half the time the stuff that comes out just falls flat for me. Like, as much as I love Wildlands, Breakpoint was awful, for the most part. It wasn't awful, I shouldn't say that, but like, Ubisoft's the Assassin's Creed series, for instance, I only like hit or miss series of that ones. I know people love them, but it's not something that gets me really excited. And franchises they should have been bringing back or doing or this, that, and the other, they just don't. And I'm always going to be the first person when it comes to how I'm spending my money into the time I'm investing in these games. And when I see a game like this, and they're the first ones to really start doing it, was, okay, well, the full version of the game technically is about $120 because that includes all the DLC, that includes the.
I feel like that's the norm. I feel like that's the norm, though.
Well, is it? Because like they're what other publisher is
EA, Activision.
Yeah, but your add-ons might be like 10 or here 20. Like they're not over $100 in total value when you break it down at this point.
I'm pretty sure.
I mean, maybe.
No, I'm not arguing. I'm trying to look at this from the same perspective as you. Is like when I look at Call of Duty, I think when you look at the highest version, it might be just $100. It might be $99.99 for because I could see like season pass.
Deluxe, but we're also talking about things that some of the add-on stuff is bullshit. I'm talking about gameplay, like actual meat on the bone.
Okay.
Ubisoft has been the first one to pay all that stuff. Now, I'm not saying necessarily $120 is out the realm of like a massive game.
Depending on the content.
It can depend on the content. Odyssey was a great example for Assassin's Creed. I put a lot of time into that and put, over 120, 150 hours into that and paid, I didn't, it was on sale, so I didn't get the full price of it, right? But that's my point with this is like, I want a lot of good game, but I shouldn't have to be like trying to figure out a way how I can maximize that. And listen, I'm not the only one that agrees with this. And I'm not saying anybody's wrong on the opposing side, but there are a lot of Star Wars fans, period. Let's start there. Star Wars fans, not excited about the fact that it's a Ubisoft game or Ubisoft's publishing this instantly. We all got burnt. I mean, I loved Battlefront and played a lot of Battlefront, but they came out the gates tripping on that as well too, and that was EA, which is another publisher who has a lot of like shady fucking behavior as well too. So it's just hard to want to jump into this when, for me at this point, when it comes to my money, especially gaming, just currently right now, I want to be excited. I am to a degree. I want to see reviews. I want to see. I don't want to see what Brents are saying. I don't want to see what I mean that wholeheartedly.
No, I get it.
I want to see Star Wars.
It's a game that's geared towards somebody like me, like a stealthy game. So like, I might be a little bit more forgiving of certain things. Where like Tone's looking for something specific. Like I can sit there and tell Tone like, hey man, it's a fucking awesome stealth game. It's a lot different than anything I've ever played from Star Wars. But if I don't say something that is going to reverse his thoughts on Ubisoft, like address the concerns he has with Ubisoft.
Right.
He's not going to be like, I'm not buying it because you didn't address the things that I dislike.
I want a stealth game. I want all those things, but I'm just apprehensive. Like at some point, as somebody who also bends the knee for a lot of big companies, there are certain brand loyalties we all have at some point. Like, hey, what's up, Burger King? I want some free Whoppers or something, right? But at some point with certain things, I do draw the line, and Ubisoft is a line drawing for me because after working at GameStop for years, after being in rooms with them trying to convey us to sell these, like trying to get your buy-in to sell these products to people, and sometimes almost pressuring people into buying them, especially from GameStop corporate,
right.
And being like, I don't even know the actual game content I'm asking these people to buy on. And that's the way the industry has been going since 2010 with the DLC and starting with the Halo Halo Reach map packs, right? And we knew it was going to go this way. It's a bigger discussion, and we've had it a few times on here. But all I'm saying for me is it looks fun. There's certain things I can pick apart of it, good and bad, as a Star Wars fan. But I'm apprehensive right now, so I'll need to wait and see. I'll at least wait a couple days after. Honestly, in Ubisoft games, the big ones take about 2 months, and that thing will be fucking. By the time I hit Christmas, I can probably get that for half off nearly. So I feel like I could spend my money elsewhere.
Two things I'm going to address. First of all, Trick says, for me, Star Wars is lightsabers and Space Wizards and witches. I like stealthy games, but want to hack and slash
There's
with lightsabers.
Definitely two different.
So there you go. When you think of Star Wars, Jedi Fallen, and Jedi, what were the two Star Wars Jedi games?
The Star Wars Unleashed, Jedi Fallen, and Jedi Survivor.
Jedi Survivor. Yeah. Those who hack and slash, you get all your Jedi wants and needs from that. Yeah. Now here's my question to you, dude. Who do you overall, not just with Star Wars properties, in general, who do you distrust more, EA or Ubisoft?
I mean, that's like literally doing a Witcher choice. Like you got shit.
Okay, no, that's
to me they're the same.
That's perfect. Now obviously, Ubisoft or EA fucked up Battlefront.
Yes.
It's an online game, kind of a live service game to a degree, because you're just constantly updating it, and you got your bullshit fucking boxes and all shit like that. So they really fucked up the people's trust. EA also published Jedi Fallen, Jedi Survivor. Those games I believe you did enjoy, and you thought they were really well done. If they're both the shitty publishers, do you have any faith that possibly a single-player driven game that doesn't have to rely with the bullshit of multiplayer like boxes and season passes and battle passes, do you think it's possible that it'll be easier for you to buy into
it's
Star
possible.
Wars Outlaws?
I mean, we're also talking about like when it
I agree. That's all I'm going to say, Tricky.
Because like with EA, like they have a bunch of great developers under them that they either fuck or they pressure into doing stuff, and sometimes they're able to squeeze out stuff. Respawn's a great developer, and
they push back.
They've been since before they were Respawn when they were working on Call of Duties. I mean, they made some of the best Call of Duties still today. At this point, the old crew that did Modern Warfare 2 or whatever it was.
Oh yeah.
Because originally they were
Infinity War.
Yeah, they were originally part of Infinity War. Yeah. That's why the Titanfalls are so good and play so well.
I guess you know what? Now I think about it, Respawn doesn't push back enough because we don't have Titanfall 3 yet.
Yeah, we need that too. But Ubisoft is like, while they've got different branches of Ubisoft, it's still more cohesive because it's all Ubisoft.
Sure.
For the most part, so it's a little bit.
Well, I mean, that part I get.
It's a little bit more.
I think you're looking at just the fact that most of their studios have Ubisoft in front of it, like Ubisoft Montreal.
Well, I guess.
But the studios themselves, like Massive, is not a Ubisoft Massive. Massive is massive, but I mean, I feel like the developers. That's why it's not so easy for me to be like, well, fuck Ubisoft or fuck EA, because I can't say fuck EA because Respawn is under
okay, I'll put
and
it
I
to
can't say fuck Ubisoft just because the developer says Ubisoft. The developers make some really great games. So, like, that's why I'm not so quick to be like, well, it's Ubisoft, fuck Star Wars Outlaws. The developer themselves, they've made really good games, but they've been hampered because of Ubisoft decisions.
Well, I'll say two things as well, too. We're two different people when it comes to buying games.
Sure, absolutely.
You'll buy almost everything under the sun, and you'll finish half of them.
Not like I used to. Like I used to. I've changed over this gen. I've changed this gen.
But...
Watch your tone.
More so than most people, you do buy a lot of games that don't always finish.
Not really.
Regardless of last gen, regardless of this gen, you do buy a lot of games. How many games do you think you buy monthly?
Honestly, at this gen, Nowhere near, because I've been playing live service games.
But my point is like when it comes between me and you, and when it comes between me and when it comes to Ubisoft, I'm thinking about, at the end of the day, it's about money and what I'm investing into.
That's true.
Now, I'm not saying that you don't spend your money nilly-willy and you don't play these games, but what I am saying is you tend to spend more of your time and your money into video games than more people than I know.
Sure.
And most people that these people know.
Damn, man. I got to put my business out there
you're
that.
You're getting real, so I'm going to get real.
That's fine. No, that's cool.
I'm saying
I'm not saying you're 100% accurate either.
I'm saying the difference between the two of us is if one of us is going to put a stop and say, I'm not spending money on a Ubisoft game for $120, you're not going to be the person that's going to pump the brakes first. I'm going to do it. That's my point. So what I'm saying is...
My question is, what did the table do to you, bro? Be nice to my baby. Hey.
No.
Okay.
No, that was a bit. That was a bit. That's my point. Is like it's two different perspectives talking about this.
And that's why we're talking about it.
Right. Is I have a fundamental issue at some point spending $120 on if I want to play all of Star Wars Outlaws. That's what I'm saying. If I want to play all of it.
Sure.
You probably already have it pre-ordered.
I don't.
At $120.
I don't. No. And the thing is,
that's my
no. I will tell you that right now. I will not. I very rarely will I ever. If it's like if it's a 69 versus 79.99, I will look at a deluxe edition.
Absolutely.
But when it comes to this stuff, no, Tom, I have not bought a $120 version of a game. I will buy the base version because I don't. Because I mean, I can't spend willy-nilly like I did last gen. Sure. I did absolutely 100%.
Yeah.
But the reality is, if I don't like the game out the gate, I don't want to know that I spent for the fucking season pass that I'm not going to explore.
Sure.
So or the DLC pass that I'm not going to explore. So no, I do the 120, the 100, unless it's a multiplayer game, then I'll consider. If I'm getting like DLC packs for maps, absolutely I'll look at $100.
Yeah.
But for a single player game, $120? No, sir.
See, and the multiplayer thing, ironically enough, makes more sense to me because it's content you're getting. Like when people pay $100 for Call of Duty, it makes more sense in my head than me paying $120 for Star Wars Outlaws because you're going to get your value out of that because you're probably going to put that time back into it, even if you're only getting 3 or 4 maps every quarter or whatever. Yeah. That makes more sense in my head. So like when people say like, oh, you're paying 100 something, that to me, for me, from my perspective, that's not even an argument because I get that because you'll probably invest hundreds of hours into that, right? So at that point, it becomes a question, well, where do you put the dollar sign on your time, right?
Sure.
But, again, with some of these games, even some of the Assassin's Creed ones, you're paying X amount of money, and you might get another 8 hours out of it. That's cool and all, but, like, is it really worth that extra when was that really part of the game and you literally just could have said, it's a $70 game, here's your game. Oh, if you want to add this on, maybe it's another $20 down the road.
Sure.
But Ubisoft doesn't start like that. They come out the gate saying, you want to play the full game,
and you want it 5 days early, pay this,
exactly,
get all this shit.
Exactly. So that's where my and like I said, if this was coming up under another publisher, I probably would be a little bit more excited. Most the people that get me excited are people that with a great track record of really good single player games. Yeah. And while this looks exciting because it is Star Wars and it does a lot of different things that I'm excited about and want to play, the stealth, the not Jedi, I don't know. It's just there's a lot of other things pulling for me to say I'll wait to see when it comes out.
Tricky says I'll pay $120 for a new Ghosts.
For what?
Ghost Recon or Ghost of Tsushima? There's a difference here.
Yeah, there's a big difference.
There's a big difference here, Trick. I'll pay $100 for a new Ghost Recon or Ghost of Tsushima. If I'm getting Ghost of Tsushima, yes, because they have a proven track record, and I love the fucking world, and I thought their add-ons were really good. Because remember, the Ghost of Tsushima add-on was massive. You had a whole new island to explore and a ton of shit to do. Ghost of Tsushima, absolutely. I would, because they've shown me that when you get content, not only did you get a fucking co-op mode that nobody thought we were getting and nobody thought we deserved or wanted, but we also got an expansion that was a whole new island that gave me a bunch of shit to do. I would do that. I would, because I trust them in that regard. Ubisoft, it just depends. It just depends. It really just depends. Assassin's Creed, I'm sure people are a fan of Assassin's Creed and they like what they've done. They probably have no problem whatsoever spending $120 for a new Assassin's Creed game so you can get the DLC and all that shit for free. Or not for free, but included. That's fine for me. But yeah, Ghost of Tsushima, absolutely. I'd pay 120 for that, for sure. But no, that's what we want to talk about. We want to get you guys the girls' thoughts. If there's something else, and there are games coming out this summer. You got the I feel like not Elder Scrolls.
The Elden Ring DLC.
Elden Ring DLC is making some noise.
It's got a lot of people excited.
A lot of people. You got the Destiny, the final shape.
That gonna bring it back in?
No, dude. I've come to terms and I've come to peace with it. I'm all done. I like watching the people's comments on X, and I like seeing people's thoughts on it and stuff, and that's great.
I was curious when I saw it on the list.
I am so far removed from it. It's just like I don't have it in me anymore. I'm hoping that like games like Helldivers 2, they'll build upon their lore. The Illuminates are close. Like Helldivers released a video earlier this week. One of their little like news articles, which are always fucking sweet. And they're like, oh, scientists have been working on this device that'll create a black hole that'll get rid of a terminate planet completely and all this stuff, and it'll wipe out a planet. But per lore, Illuminates will travel through black holes to their next destination.
Okay.
So, of course, super scientists, who I'd never trash because they're so smart, could be creating something. I mean, we saw what happened with the Terminate fucking systems that they had a couple months ago. Doubled the Terminate output after a while, made them super Terminates. Mm-hmm. Now they're creating something else that could create a black hole, and supposedly that's where the Illuminates will come from. So we'll see. But they need to work on some of their buffs. And I do love the fact, and this is the last thing we'll talk about the gaming stuff, their CEO, I can't remember his first name, Johan Pilestedt maybe it is, he actually stepped down as CEO to COO, Chief Creative Officer, so he can work more on the game. And he hired his friend, who is now the CEO, so he can be more focused on the game itself, which is huge because he is basically like the father of Helldivers. Yeah. So now he's removed himself from the CEO position because he doesn't like the business side of things, lets his friend take care of it. Now he can get back to it, take the feedback he's heard from players about you're nerfing these weapons too much. You're erasing that fantasy of having powerful weapons, things like that. So they're working on righting the wrong and kind of getting the game back where it needs to be. So I still have faith in that game. I'll still be jumping into that at some point. But we want to hear you guys and girls' thoughts. Let us know what game you're looking forward to the most. I'm sure this conversation will change after next week.
Absolutely.
When Summer Game Fest kicks off, probably even tomorrow when the Sony State of Play kicks off at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. But let us know in the comments below what you're looking forward to the most this summer when it comes to